Tonight, whether you call it football, or soccer, a German American and a German in America dare to call it Fußball. German foosball from an American point of view. Let's add some buns to that hamburger and join them for the Schnitzel Boys Deutschland Hour.
Hello.
Yeah.
We're back. We're back, baby.
We're back.
We're back. A day before April Fool's Day. There's no fool here. We are back. We took last week off just because of adult stuff, and we might start to do that semi-regularly. So if we're not on, we apologize. You know we're on when we have our broadcasts sort of announced on YouTube. You'll see it. Right. I try to share news on Twitter, but who's even on Twitter these days? So it's hard for me to communicate.
We're either there or not. It's just going to be a surprise.
We're mostly there, but sometimes we're not there. Last week there was plenty to talk about, so it did hurt me. We can talk about it, but it was also healthy for me to take time off. I was
just gonna say, I think it's probably good. It was probably good to add another week to this. You wanna? Oh no, this is the Germany hour.
Let's say not for this hour.
We're starting with the positive.
This is the good hour. Germany's good, man.
Germany was good. Yeah.
Germany played their bogey team, Italy, a team that they rarely defeat. Like historically, Italy is usually the winner. And there was that big defeat in 2006 in Dortmund, the first time we lost in that stadium.
Yeah.
Still the only time we lost that. And then we played them again in Dortmund. You know, what is this? 14 years later? No, 20 years later, 19 years later. 06 to 2025, right? So 18 after. Anyway, and they almost got us again. It was we had a very good 2-1 win in Italy, in Milan, I believe it was in Milan. And then Dortmund, a wacky 3-3. 3-0 up at the half, and they got us 3 goals in the second half.
Yeah, that was
so just narrowly by the skin of our teeth. And the unsuspecting hero is that little ball boy, who quickly threw the ball to Joshua Kimmich so he could do a quick, little tricky, super corner.
Yes, the super. I mean, what was going on there? Donnarumma did not want to. He was not interested in the nation's
in either game.
In either game. Donnarumma, who is a legend, I think at this point it's fair to say, right? He won a
why not?
Won a big penalty shootout to win the Euro for Italy, and he did not care about these games. He did not want to be there. He did not look interested, and he made some pretty big blunders. Yeah, this corner thing was funny. He was just like, there's no obligation to wait until the defense is lined up, but they took their time, and then Kimmich to Musiala put it in the empty net. But before we get to that, we got to talk a little bit about my man, because he's a Bochum kid, so close to my heart. The comeback of Leon Goretzka in game 1. That was not something that was on my bingo card for this year, that Leon Goretzka would score the winning goal for the national team against. I mean, he was on his way. I mean, you were speculating that it was perhaps time for him to come back to Bochum. Because we were looking for some midfield. He was watching games. He had a lot of time on his hands. He wasn't playing. And so that was, of course, I didn't think that was really going to happen, but it was also not completely out of the question. And so, but he worked his way back into the starting lineup for Vincent Kompany in Bayern. Mm-hmm. And this time, for the first time in, I think it was 15 months or something, somebody said he was again part of the national team squad. And Julian Nagelsmann does not call people in to wither on the bench. If you get called in and you haven't been, or you're new, or you're gonna get some time. And he got the start, and he played well, played great, got the winning goal.
Yeah, there are players at a crossroads. There are certain players that are a few years in that are maybe getting a little too comfortable or aren't the way they used to be. Leon Goretzka is one of those guys. He was a German star, certified back a few years ago. But as of late, he's been under a lot of criticism, and he's found himself on the bench, and people are wondering what his use is, and and he had 2 options. He could wither away and just keep up with what he was doing, or he could light a fire under his butt, put some passion in there, and get back to the gay game he knows he has, like a good athlete. And I think he chose the second one. And then he had him and Kimmich, who were both sort of consistently challenged together, right? Historically, you'd say Kimmich and Goretzka are often spoken in the same breath when it comes to underperforming at Bayern and underperforming for the national team. And both of them have been proving themselves as of late. And especially in this last international window, Kimmich and Goretzka both were key figures in this victory over Italy. And afterwards, Goretzka had a very passionate post-game speech. Do you remember things he said?
A speech to the press, you mean? Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
It was just
You
sort of
texted me and said that you're about to cry.
Yeah, it was very emotional. It was just very I don't know. It wasn't like he wasn't very loud about it. It was kind of, but you could feel the emotion. He was like, yeah. I mean, of course, the reporter, and in Germany especially, the national team players are very weary of the press. Like they don't, Goretzka looked at the guy with a little bit of side eye, and it's like, well, you're going to ask me dumb questions, and but you could say, you could from his answers, even though he was trying to be a little reserved, there was some emotion in the sense that, yeah, this was a hard time for him, and he had a lot of doubts as to whether he still had it, and so it was not an easy thing, and so for him to come back like this was pretty nice to see, and it was I got a little verklempt watching him post game.
But the bigger picture with all that was under Nagelsmann, like you said, you're not there to wither away. You're there to play. And Nagelsmann does a really, really good job of really calling you in if you're performing. He doesn't care what club you're on.
Mm-hmm.
If you're performing, you get called in, and you're a German national, you get called in, and I like that. Historically, Germany has a way of doing things, and historically, there's always a base of core players that they stuck with, no matter whether they were performing well for their clubs or not.
Yeah.
Right. And then that
was
sometimes
definitely
worked out, but sometimes did not work out. Sometimes their form translated to the national team. And this one is because, Maxi Bayer was not on the team. He's fine. We'll talk about Maxi Bayer in a second. He's finally starting to pick up again, but he wasn't scoring goals, so he's not in Germany anymore. If you're performing, you're on. If you're not performing, you're not on. And it's been and it works. I think it works.
And somehow he has managed, and I think partly this is also due to injury. Some people are just not there because they're hurt, but he has also managed to keep people around, but also expand. We were talking about the double pivot in the midfield. We had there was Pascal Gross and
it was Goretzka and Gross, right?
And it was four people, right? It was like Stiller. I thought Stiller, Pavlovic.
Yeah.
No, not this, but in general. I'm saying in general.
Oh, got it.
Lately, since because this is what I'm just sort of recounting because to me that's that was the big question mark going into the season. Kroos and Gundogan are gone. What's gonna happen to the midfield?
Right.
And then he had Stiller, Pavlovic, Pascal Gross, and Andrich to choose from, and now he's added Goretzka to the mix as and so I think that's incredible that he can just plug these people in and keep the competition alive while also giving people opportunities. I think that's really masterful. He's done a very good job. I thought, looking at the starting lineup, I thought this was pretty disrespectful to Italy. Like the Goretzka Gross double pivot is sort of like, I thought, this is what you play against Liechtenstein, and it's kind of contrasted, I thought, with the U.S. We're going to talk in the next hour. It's like the U.S. was lining up as if they were playing Italy, and Germany was lining up as if they were playing Panama with Goretzka, and it's like, oh, we don't need to defend, just go for it. And that looked a little sketchy for the first, definitely in the first half, because they
Italy scored first.
And they got a pretty bad. But then the thing that they have under Nagelsmann is there's just sort of a baseline intensity about this team, and they picked it up and that just is, again, sort of probably contrasting with the US. It's just sort of this you can just count on them to go hard, and I think that is and they picked it up even in the second half, and it was just a good performance in a with not your first choice lineup. We were talking about Sané in the chat, who at this point is kind of a big step down from Wirtz and Musiala or Havertz or whoever else might go. And he was clearly he had some better. He was better in the second half. He was not didn't have his best game, but
Zane is one of those guys who's kind of at that crossroads, like I was talking about earlier.
yeah,
It's like because like Zane was Germany's big future star. He was at Man City. I remember he was like the poster boy of the 2018 team, and he was cut, even though he still had all the promotional materials, which was kind of controversial. And he went to Bayern, and he's doing well at Bayern. But like I think for all intents and purposes, that Leroy Zane is supposed to be a little bit more of a leader and a little bit more of a star player.
Yeah, he's never been right. He's never been bad. He's never been like
right.
I mean, whether City or Bayern, but you always thought like he had another gear. Maybe you were always sort of waiting for him to get in another gear and become this like force.
Right. And yeah, it's like playing more like a mercenary a little bit, right? And you're like, like you said, there should be another gear here, The other noticeable thing is Füllkrug and Havertz were both unavailable.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And those are your main two guys. The last time we talked about the German national team, it was like, is it Havertz or Füllkrug? And it was definitely Havertz. He earned it, and then Füllkrug coming off the bench. But if you have neither, and then there you go, Tim Kleindienst shows up.
Right.
Tim Kleindienst had himself quite a series of games with 2 goals off the headers, I believe. And he was a very formidable forward.
He was really good.
Hot. He's hot in the league. He's like Heidenheim, right? He's a Heidenheim player.
Well, Gladbach all of a sudden are in a Champions League spot. How did that happen? I just noticed this sort of.
Yeah, they had themselves a good victory over
yesterday.
The weekend.
I was like, I mean, obviously big win over Leipzig, but it's like, how did this happen? I thought they were kind of, lower third kind of team the last couple of years. So yeah, I think Kleindienst is sort of very quietly having himself a great year, also for the national team. Yeah, and I mean that position is open because Füllkrug is hurt. Havertz can play the 10 too when he comes back. He can play like a little bit of a deeper role. Yeah.
When Füllkrug is at West Ham, right?
Yeah.
And he hasn't been having the best time at West Ham.
No, he has not. No, that is very true. I mean, he's missed a lot of time.
When he was healthy, he was
missed a lot of time to injury. He hasn't started a lot. Yeah, it's true.
And then he was taken off early. He was taken off the half, and the coach is just like, we took him off for sporting reasons. It's just like they want more from him. So his time in England is a little bit hit or miss. It's not like his time in Dortmund.
Yeah. We'll see.
But yeah, like you said, and Havertz earned his keep. Good for him. But Havertz a year ago was almost persona non grata. So that spot up top is also pretty open. I mean, and also the goalkeeper position. Oliver Baumann stepped in, filled in. I thought
had a great game. Yeah, against especially the first game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the second half collapse is pretty alarming. I'm trying to find his website's not loading. I'm gonna try it. Like
it's never. It's still not a. This is not a. It's not a shutdown. It's not a shutdown team. It hasn't. It hasn't been, and it continues to not be. And so that's always then is always a question mark when you get into nervier, tighter games and higher stakes kind of situations. If you can't rely on your defense, that can be tough. But but we'll see. So far, so good.
So far, so good. I'm liking it. It was a good. We were off to face Portugal in the summer. Portugal, Denmark
historically a friendly opponent.
Yeah, I think there have been other 1 or 2 exceptions, but usually we handle them pretty well. But Denmark beat Portugal 1-0 with their goal scorer doing the Cristiano Ronaldo celebration in Portugal at them. It was fun. But then Portugal got it back, beat them 4-2 in the second leg to go through. And yeah, historically, Germany usually handles Portugal well. It's usually a 4-0. Like I was at Euro, which was Euro 2021. It was the only good game we had. We beat them 4-2 with Robin Gosens coming up there. And then at the World Cups, I think 2 World Cups in a row, we got 4 goals on them. Yeah. I mean, the Euro 2000 game is the one I think of was the Luis Figo days when they beat us 3-0
Mm.
in a game when you do better. But other than that, we usually, Cristiano Ronaldo's kind of old, and I don't know. It's a summer semis. We'll see how it goes.
I
But I'm
mean,
feeling okay about it.
on paper, they have an incredible squad, but it doesn't always come together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're on the semifinals too. So nicht unterschätzen. Don't
Nein,
underestimate
nicht
that.
unterschätzen. Das
Nicht,
stimmt.
nicht unterschätzen. But should
Nicht
be
unterschätzen.
a fun summer for them to rest and relax before the big boys, the big World Cup next summer. We're all gearing up for just a little over a year away. But that was the German national team. Then the other thing we had is we had a little something called the Bundesliga. Heating up.
Yes.
So we got about 8 rounds left or so, 7, 8 rounds. There were some surprise scores. Like you mentioned, Gladbach got themselves a good win over the weekend. And I would just like to say, again, this is maybe more the USA hour, the Germany hour. These are where our two things blend a little bit.
Okay.
But I want to say Joe Scally had himself a good full 90 over the weekend in that 4-2 win. I think every other American was an unused sub this weekend. All of them. Noah Kai Banks, Leonard Maloney, Gio Reyna. They were all unused. John Tolkien is back from injury. All unused subs on the bench, which might be a little bit of a clue to maybe our state of the national team, or just, I don't know if you read too much into that. But give it up for Joe Scally for being just the regular dude.
And at a very the thing about Joe Scally is he's only 22. Like this is all the more impressive at his relatively young age. So I know he's not I mean, like I always say, my brother, who was a Gladbach fan, doesn't care if Joe Scally lives or dies. But
right.
and you have in the past expressed some disappointment with him for the U.S. men's national team, but he's a young guy and his career is going well in the big picture. You got to definitely say that.
Yeah,
and I'm not just saying that because he's an NYCFC Academy guy.
Well, I'm sure it's part of it. There's no reason you brought it up. I mean, why else did you bring it up?
I guess you're right.
Well,
I can't deny it.
MLS. It's another USA hour. MLS should be producing guys like this, so good on them. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because we should look at that. There was a big game between Dortmund and Mainz over the weekend. Dortmund 11th place, Mainz in 3rd place. But Dortmund are the favorites, and Dortmund did pull off a 3-1 win, but neither Gio Reyna nor Leonard Maloney was involved. They were both unused subs. And it's a little disappointing. It's like, these are the big league games. Like, you need to get in there. You need to make a difference a little bit. But that's the way it go. Bayern München had themselves a win over St. Pauli. Bayer Leverkusen beat Bochum. So the tippy top is the top two are still plugging along at a 6-point gap. It's hard to imagine Bayern München being caught at this point because they have managed well with their replacement goalkeeper.
Although 6 points is not that much. I don't know. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I wouldn't put a lot of money on Bayern not winning the league, but it's a little tighter, and they're not blowing anybody away. This 3-2 against St. Pauli was a pretty labored affair. They were behind, and they lost at home to Bochum recently, so it's not like they're sort of going to roll it in. And Leverkusen looked a little bit, although we'll see about my team. There's been kind of the last few weeks, there's been a real optimism after the Bayern game, and the team has looked good, but then they have now again 2 losses and in a row. Dieter Hecking got an extension. We found a new Sportdirektor. Everybody's sort of like, oh, we're doing great, but it's like, you're still 17th place. Heidenheim won. So there's this general
over Wolfsburg.
Yeah,
that's one of the surprise results.
Exactly. That was an unexpected result. Union Berlin won on the road at Freiburg. You didn't think that was going to happen. So everybody sort of feels like Bochum is going to pull this out, but it's not. Not yet. Not yet. You got to win. Sometimes somehow these good perform when they play pretty well against Leverkusen too. I mean, you don't expect that to win that game. It's on the road.
Yeah,
it's number 2 team, and they held their own. And and it wasn't until late that they. But it's like at some point these decent performances have to translate into points. But at this point, this is where the schedule turns around. This is the end of this stretch of top teams in a row. So fingers crossed. But I misspoke before. Mönchengladbach is not yet in a Champions League spot, but they're in 5th, and they're only 2 points behind Mainz. So they're knocking on the door. They had a big win against Leipzig, and so they made it past them.
I misspoke too. Maybe I said it was like a 4-2 win. It was a 1-0.
Oh yeah, no, it was 1-0.
1-0 win was the score.
So even more kudos to Joe Scally for being part of a shutout defense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kiel lost.
It was all Joe. It was all Joe. It was all
Joe. Kiel lost at home like they were supposed to.
Unused John Tolkien, and then Augsburg and Hoffenheim got a 1-1 with an unused Noah Kai Banks, who someone I'm keeping an eye on because the U.S. center backs could use a little more reinforcements, I think, moving forward. Frankfurt got the win over Stuttgart. That was a big one for them. Kiel losing as expected.
Verfolger.
And yeah, that Wolfsburg. So some surprising results, but a pretty average week in the Bundesliga. And then let's take a look at those standings. Bayern
Stuttgart,
up top with 6.
Stuttgart now behind Dortmund.
Frankfurt got themselves 3rd. Mainz is 4th. Gladbach 5th. And then Stuttgart lower than Dortmund. Yeah, that is, but with Stuttgart, they had a very good season last year. It was going to be much harder for them to copy their success because they lost a couple of their players over the summer.
Bunch of people,
Yeah, I think their situation is different with Dortmund. Dortmund's traditionally expected to do better, and Dortmund was the team that bought their players. So it's like the players, the Stuttgart players are in 10th place now, but in Dortmund colors. So with them, I think it's a gelling thing. With Stuttgart's just a par for the course of a club at their budget, But Wolfsburg were doing really well under Hasenhüttl. They're still comfortably in 9th. Augsburg punching above their weight, I think, in 8th place. And Mainz very much still. I mean, Mainz just teeter only 2 points off.
Yeah, that 4th
still in the Champions League spot.
That 4th Champions League spot is wide open though. There's like 5, 6, 7 teams.
Yeah,
that have some good designs. Yeah.
Freiburg, Leipzig, Gladbach, and Mainz.
I
guess until Frankfurt are all fighting for 3rd/4th place. Right?
Dortmund can still get it. It's like 7 points. I don't know. I mean,
if they have a good run, and
they would have
a couple. If a team's like, you never know. You never know.
Daniel Young is. Oh, sorry. What were you going to say?
No, please. I was about to say that's the weekend of the Bundesliga. Do we have some Schnitzel Cups in the chat?
We have Daniel Young in the chat, and we were talking about Belize's men's national team, and he says Germany's progressing well. The Belize men's team lost 12-1 on aggregate in the Gold Cup qualifiers. I was embarrassed but happy to see my country displayed on the Fox Sports 2 channel. Oh, I'm glad you got to see that. We played Alonso Martinez, NYCFC's Alonso Martinez in Costa Rica. I didn't follow. Did Alonso get much time in those games? I did not watch. A Bundesliga team is due to win a conference league. If West Ham can win one, so can Germany. Not this year.
True that.
Not this year, though, right? We don't have anybody left in the. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think we've looked into it before. We only have one.
Heidenheim, and Heidenheim is out.
Yeah, I think Frankfurt is our representative in the Europa League, which I think they can win. And then we got Dortmund and Bayern in the Königsklasse, the Champions League.
That's right.
Bayern and Inter teetering because of their Mano Anoia situation. We'll see. That's what I'm saying. We still have another week or two with that. I think that those are on the 8th. That's in 8 days from now. So it's not this midweek, but it's next midweek. The Panthers had a rough game. Crazy. Daniel Young, you mentioned one of your great coaches was German. Did you share that name with us? Share it with us. I want to Google this man. I want to see the story of the many. Germans do a really good job exporting coaches that go all over the place.
I know. There's
Thomas Dooley coached the Philippines. Winifred Schäfer is a famous German.
Yeah, Vinny Schäfer. He was all over the world in various. Bertie Vogts coached.
Right. The Philippines as well, I think. Right? Am I wrong? I think Bertie coached the Philippines. And then Thomas Dooley was his replacement or something. Something like that.
I watched the documentary about the Spanish women's team and their World Cup and the subsequent scandal.
Right. Rubiales.
I mean, that guy mean, just incredible. I mean, it's an interesting movie. It's like I'm thinking about this because there are just certain coaching gigs are just awarded just by nepotism, or not even nepotism,
Right.
but just by who you know. It's like certain, and the coach of the Spanish women's team, who he himself didn't do anything really untoward, but was clearly like a nepotism hire,
Sure.
and became very sort of intertwined with Rubiales, the misbehaving federation president. And he now is they shipped him off to Morocco. He now coaches the Moroccan women's national team, and it's like, I guess he won a World Cup, so he has some credentials, but
Yeah.
his
yeah,
players
sure,
did
yeah.
not respect him. And
Well, like Phil Neville was the coach of the women's team. I mean, how do you earn that spot? He's Phil Neville.
yeah,
Gary Neville coached in Spain randomly. People
and
get
their
gigs.
dad, I mean, just always can't let this
Right?
pass without mentioning that their dad's name is Neville.
Neville. What were their parents thinking? And then Harvey Neville, right? Who are the kids? The next generation. Little Harvey Neville plays
There's
in
a
like
right,
Switzerland now or
yeah.
something.
He was
Yeah, conveniently.
I saw him and Romeo Brett Beckham play on top of a garage in Queens against NYCFC too.
And Romeo Beckham 100% got that job just because he tried it.
He got a red card in that game. He got mad.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's definitely a Nepo. Like in
Nepo
Miami,
baby,
you got the Neville
yeah.
boys, the Beckham boys. Do they earn those spots, or they're just there because their dad's there? Dads bring their boys. It's like the Bradley situation. But that was like when I was playing minor league baseball and little league. Not I was not. Sorry, I never played minor league.
You were
baseball.
playing minor
I was
league
playing
baseball.
little league baseball.
Whoa! Burying the lead.
No, I don't want to talk about the part of my life. But I was on the Brooklyn Cyclones for 3 years. No, I'm joking. I was never on the Cyclones.
Designated hitter.
Much love the
I'm
Cyclones.
assuming.
No, no, but like when I played Little League, the coach's dad's kid was always there, and he was always the captain. Right, he was always the star little player, right? And then as you go up the ranks, that never changes. When the U.S. national team and the Michael Bradley situation. So
we had the opposite problem because I was coaching a lot of soccer when my son was really little, and he eventually was like, "Dad, can I be on a team that you're not the coach of?" I was like, okay,
you're too hard on him.
He was I don't know, I don't think I was particularly hard on him, but I think he felt like, you just felt like he was just being treated differently, not just by me but by the other kids. So he wanted he was the anti-Nepo baby.
No, I have that too. I used to teach a lot of theater camps in college and stuff like that. And the very nice lady who ran the theater camps, her son was in all of the classes, and he was a little troublemaker. He did not want to be there. He was just, his mom dragged him and be like, "You're in theater camp." So he just did theater camps forever, but did not want to do that. Which I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, by the way. Sports is one thing. You can kind of like just run around the field or whatever. But theater is like you have to be active, and so finally she sent him to like a summer camp, and he had a blast. Like he was just like loving it, at the cabin in the woods, fishing, that kind of stuff. Right.
You didn't want to do the theater. Yeah, you don't. Not everything's for everybody. I had some kids like that when I was coaching youth soccer, where the parents were clearly more into it than the kids were, or the parents would, like sort of berate me about how I'm not putting their kid in the best position or whatever, and I would say, like, your son stops playing when a plane flies over the field. It's like,
yeah, we need to start playing in no-fly zones. So wherever that is, that'll help his game. But speaking of North America and helping your game, there's been this interesting, unprecedented sort of news article the past week or so about Bayern München. I got my Bayern München shirt on today.
Oh yeah, I see. So many stars.
It almost looks like I'm a Bayern München like sales rep or whatever.
Like you work for the team, right?
I was like, hey gang, a street team here. Remember kids, blah blah. Anyway, Bayern München, one of the richest sports organizations in the world, is threatening to sue the Canadian Soccer Association.
Oh, what they do?
One of the poorest sports organizations.
They need to get their MLS teams to kick in to pay their coach.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, CSA has no. I mean, it's just misappropriated, mishandled. I remember years ago. I don't remember when this was. There's always been a threat of just a rival federation. Like CSA was. There's something called the CSF, Canadian Soccer Federation. Was like
Oh, they
we
were
should be the
just gonna.
federation.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
which I don't think never got much steam. But it's never been super stable. But the latest, and then they had the drone scandal right a few months ago. I mean,
Yeah,
Canadian
yeah, yeah, yeah.
soccer
Mm-hmm.
gets himself in trouble. Their latest troubleness, how to bother, but the latest bit of bother is that they played. I was at the game. I went to USA Canada. I was one of the two guys in the audience. It was me and a nice guy named
Oh
Fred.
boy.
But anyway, Alphonso Davies played and got injured 10 minutes in. In my mind, I'm like, this is fake. He just wants to. It's a third place game. He's got Bayern München Champions League coming up. He just wants to get off the field. But apparently, it was legit injury. And then what Bayern München is claiming is that Canadian soccer just didn't even. They just threw him on the plane and sent him back without really giving him proper care, and it made the injury so much more worse that he's out for the rest of the season. And that there was different. A, they should have never played him, and B, when he came off, they should have given him better care and have him rest another day or two. I'm not a physio. I don't know the specifics of how this stuff works.
Oh, this is yeah.
But Bayern München are claiming that Canada broke the rules.
They broke Alphonso Davies.
They broke their Alphonso Davies, a man who they wanted to win the Champions League with and then sell to Real Madrid over the summer.
Well, he just got a big extension. I think he was going to stay. No,
I hope. Well, good. He deserves it. Whatever it was, they spent money on him, and now they don't get him for the rest of the year. And they're blaming Canada in the third place match. And here we go.
Canada.
Blame Canada. But also, Jan Driesen said that the game had no sporting significance, which is very. Tell that to Canadians that playing against Americans in a competitive game has no sporting significance. So that's a little Euro snobbery. That's a little München Euro snobbery going on.
Definitely.
And then the nice Canadians, Canadians are nice. They tend to be nice people. Respond and be like, look, we did everything right. He was injured. We took him off, wrapped him up, and then we were in contact with Bayern the whole time, and they're claiming no foul. However, despite this war of words, Bayern München wants to sue Canadian soccer, which is unprecedented.
Really?
I know FIFA maybe gets involved, and there's reparations deals in the past. But I believe they're threatening
oh boy.
Yeah, if one of your club players gets injured away, and then I think they can give you financial compensation. That's been coordinated before, I think. That's an ongoing thing. Like players get injured in friendlies, they come back and they're now unavailable for a Champions League quarterfinal. This is almost that. If you want to call it Nations League, it's Nations League, so it's competitive. But yeah, Bayern München are pissed, and it'd be very interesting to see. I thought it was just a war of words. That's where it should end. But I mean, if Driesen is really interested in taking this further, I'm very interested. This will set quite the precedence. So it is something to keep an eye on, as it could set a precedence between clubs and their national teams. That whenever players get injured, they have to pay serious amounts of money to the club or something like that. I don't know, or it's just a negligent suit or something. But all I know is it's funny that Bayern München are threatening the Canadian Soccer Association, and they're probably pooping their pants because they probably can't even afford a lawyer. So they're just like, where's LegalZoom? They're on LegalZoom right now, being like, what's our defense? What happens when they sue us? What are we supposed to do? But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay,
because it is what's going on.
That is crazy. Legal courtroom drama. The other kind of not huge news because is it not official. It was just sort of a kicker on the down low that Thomas Müller is done at Bayern this summer. No more. Bayern will not offer him another contract. He is, he's 35. He's making too much money. He wanted to play another year, but Bayern said, we're not gonna pay you the double-digit million euro contract because he's not, he hasn't played all that much. And so, now is the question: what does he do? Does he retire? Does he? They want him to get some kind of official role. They would love to keep him around as to join the blowhard gallery of Hoeneß and Rummenigge and whatnot. And so this is something to keep an eye on. Choupo-Moting has said he's watching and he wants to bring Thomas Müller to MLS. I don't see that happening.
Hell yeah! Thomas Müller, New York Red Bulls, sign me up.
He doesn't strike me. He does not strike me as an MLS type guy. Thomas Müller. I don't know.
No, I would assume Bayern München actually has an official partnership with a club in MLS, Bjorn.
FC Dallas.
That club being that ended.
Oh, that ended. Who is it now? LAFC.
LAFC.
Ah, right.
They're official partners with LAFC. I think the Tillman loan was kind of related to that a little bit.
Ah.
But I imagine if he went to any club, be LAFC. And the Thomas Müller at LAFC versus the Marco Reus at LA Galaxy rivalry, just Dortmund and München revived in LA. A city that probably barely follows.
LAFC, they already have the underwhelming Euro guy in Olivier Giroud, who hasn't really.
Yeah, but they've had a precedence. They've had a precedence of having two before with Chiellini and Bale. So LAFC, and that's when they won the MLS Cup. LAFC are no strangers to two old over the hill DPs.
A front line with Müller and Olivier Giroud is not. It's not going to win them any cups. I don't think.
Man, well, I don't know. There's only one way to find out, Bjorn, and I want to see it. I want to see it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, firstly, I just want to say Bayern München is ruthless, right? It's like Thomas Müller is the greatest legend of the last 20 years. He wants one more year, and they're like, nope, leave. No, thank you. They're very efficient, which is what it is, but still, it's a for-profit sporting enterprise.
You you have just so much budget, and if you're somebody not playing, that's a lot of. I mean, double-digit millions is not nothing.
No, but he's a good spirit on the locker room. I'm sure he comes off the bench.
You can get good spirit. You can get good spirit for a lot less cheaper. I'll be a good spirit for 5% of that.
Well, and the other thing you mentioned, joining the Statler and Waldorf of the Klubenegger and Uli Hoeneß. Ask Oliver Kahn and Blatzo how that went.
Went. Right.
They seem. Uli Hoeneß was supposed to leave a few times. He's not leaving, and I don't think Thomas Müller retiring and joining that staff is going to be much different than what happened with Oliver Kahn.
It's interesting. I mean, because he is. He's just a very kind of jovial guy. He's never, he's just never had any trouble with the. I mean, once you make that switch, it's changing. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what Thomas Müller gets up to. Yeah, he's only played. He hasn't. I think he's played there since his youth, right? He doesn't have any.
Yeah, he's a one club man.
There's no other. There's. It's hard to imagine him. It's not like he's going to go to St. Pauli for a year. I don't know.
No.
So
I think he's probably just going to call quits. He would go to a place like maybe Saudi Arabia will give him a lot of money. He'll do that for a year. Or maybe a lot of players, especially from München, they go to like Italy and hang out in Italy for a bit.
Or he'll be Jurgen Klopp's assistant for Red Bull.
Red Bull Global, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Speaking of that, Mario Gomez, who, if I'm not mistaken, has a position at Red Bull Global. Like he did up until recently. I don't know what his relationship with Jurgen Klopp is now and da. But apparently Bayern München mentioned that Mario Gomez is up for an executive role at some point in the future.
Oh, interesting.
He's a sporting executive, former Bayern München player, former German national. So there is a possibility that maybe Mario Gomez will join the Statler.
Just a revolving door, the Red Bull Executive Lounge.
Hey, they're hiring. They're hiring. They're always hiring.
Daniel Young is saying he's going to Montreal from June 28, 29 to see NYCFC versus Montreal. I've been to Montreal to see a game. This was many years ago. Jack Harrison scored and we won. It was really magical. Montreal is a beautiful town. I hope you have a great time. Thomas Müller seems like, this is Daniel Young again. Thomas Müller seems like he would want to go to the Dutch league to get his UEFA coaching license. Okay.
That's a good possibility.
I could see that. I could see him coaching AZ Alkmaar.
Yeah, I was going to say, as a player, I guess as a coach, as a shadow coach or whatever. You can do what Michael Bradley did, go shadow his dad up in Norway or something.
I don't. He does not. He, like I said, he does not strike me as somebody who wants to come to the USA.
Yeah. Well, wherever he has, you know what? He loves horses.
Oh, he
I think
does. I
Real
didn't
Salt
even know
Lake.
that.
Thomas was a huge horse guy. He's got stables. He's got horses. Him and horses.
He's gonna go to
He should.
Utah.
He can go to Colorado or Salt Lake City and like as long as they give him a horse ranch, I think he'd be fine with that. As long as they give him a horse ranch, I think he'd be more than happy. He'd do that. Maybe he's a huge Vinatu fan. Maybe he's a huge Vinatu fan, and he was always going to make his way to Utah at some point.
All right. Well, I guess we'll find out. This is
Bjorn. Can you do me a favor?
Sure.
Can you teach Daniel Young what Vinatu is? Sure.
Oh my God.
Unless you know what Vinatu is, Daniel Young.
Vinatu is well, it's a series of Western novels, basically.
Young adult, right? Kind of, or something.
What?
Maybe not young adult. We would describe him as like young adult, like Harry Potter style.
Teenagers.
Teenagers,
for
right.
young, for teen, aimed at teenagers, I would say.
Yeah.
Written by a man who, under the pseudonym of Karl May, but he was a German man, and his real name was something different. I don't know. And this series of books was extremely popular in Germany and spawned a series of movies. And Vinatu is the main Apache character. It's like it's really the through line is the unlikely friendship of Vinatu, who is a Native American of the Apache tribe, and Old Shatterhand, who is like some settler cowboy dude, and the two of them develop a friendship and there's all kinds of shenanigans. And
but Karl May, did he ever leave Germany? Has he ever left Germany a day in his life?
I don't believe. Yeah, no. This is these things. There's no authenticity to any of this. This is all. I guess
this is the American West through the point of view of a German fantasy author.
Yeah, like it's very much made up. But it is not only has it spawned these movies and that I watched like numerous times as a teenager. There was also the Karl May Festspiele, which would be like an outdoor theater event where they would put these things on with with horses and
live fire,
and I mean like huge really spectacle. Cool people like falling from just incredible spectacle. So this is sort of as German as apple pie, I guess. These the Karl May novels and their subsequent media properties.
I used to go to the live show every summer as a kid, loving it, and all the kids were talking about, at the time, cowboy and Indians. No, it's not racist. Let's go for a dated term. But now, and as an adult, I finally thought about it. I was like, wait a minute, why was I at a cowboy Indian show in Central Germany? The Germans love the Wild West, man. And this guy named Karl May, I was walking around a bookstore in East Village. I found one of those little like mom and pop bookshops in the corner, and I found Vinatu's collected works in English.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I should have bought it. I know I didn't buy it.
That's crazy.
But the first page was a thing from Karl May being like, although I have never ever left Germany, I've always lived in Montana in my mind. Something like that. About his love for Montana and the West. And he wrote all these old West tales, entirely fictional, all in German, to the point of view of a German fantasy writer. Mm-hmm. And you can find, if you go on YouTube, you can find clips of the live show. I think someone even filmed the whole live show. It's just a fun little part of German culture.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking here. You can get these books in English on Amazon. Amazing. Yeah, I was wrong. This is his actual name, Karl May.
Yeah, I didn't know it was as soon as a German name.
I just sort of assumed. I guess
was it less German? German, more German?
I was wrong about it.
What a bad pseudonym! If I were a German, I had to write Wild West. My pseudonym would be like a Wild West name. I don't know what that
William Eccles. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, right. No, you're absolutely correct. I'm sorry.
William West.
William West. Yeah, Karl Friedrich May. He died in 1912. So this is 1842 to 1912. Yeah, and it's really incredible how much staying power.
He was a contemporary.
How much staying power his works had. and continue.
Yeah, but
that.
he had all this. It's funny. I'm sure he was well off. He was a famous author. He was a contemporary. He could have gone over and taken a look if he wanted to, but he never
Yeah, but in
did.
1912, that was like you did that if you weren't looking to come back. Like that's a big trip.
Yeah. Well, he said he died in 1912, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm
So
saying.
this
In
would have been
those
the late
days,
1800s.
yeah, late
Yeah, I guess you're right.
1800s.
You're right. I guess.
That's a pretty. That's not. It's not a casual. It's not a casual.
It would have been on a boat, but I don't
jaunt.
know. I don't know how it works. Maybe you go there for a couple months and hop on your boat, come back for the year. I don't know.
No, that's not what
I don't know
happened.
how that works. I don't know how that works. But anyway, that's the story of Karl May, a little German cultural history here in the Schnitzel Boys. Bundesliga is a burning. Canada's a being sued by Bayern München. They're just muscling everybody out.
We
Will
got
Dortmund turn it around? Will Mainz stay in the Champions League?
the Pokal this week. We have tomorrow. We have Bielefeld against Leverkusen, and then on Wednesday Stuttgart against Leipzig. This is wide open. It's a wide open cup.
I'm on the German family chat. I have a German sort of group chat going on. And my Leverkusen family partition already bought rooms in Berlin.
So, preposterous.
So they're getting ready for the Leverkusen fans are getting ready for that cup. And they're and with all due respect, they are favorites to win it. And it would be their only title they win this year. So,
I mean, they're in the third dritte Liga. Bielefeld is not Bundesliga 2, it's Bundesliga 3. So it's probably fair. It's probably fair.
The Super League.
It's fair to even more super. It's fair to. I think you can probably. It'd be a big surprise if this didn't work out. Let's have to check in briefly on Bundesliga 2, right? Yeah, we're both thinking alike.
Yep. Let's see. First and foremost, how is my boy Baldy McGee doing? Cologne beat Paderborn 2-1. That's going to be a good win for Cologne because Paderborn's sneaking up behind him.
And then and even before that, HSV dropped important points at home against Elversberg. They had a chance to continue to be in first, but they dropped it. But Köln and Hamburg still have a little bit of a cushion over Kaiserslautern in third, so 4 and 3 points respectively.
Kaiserslautern got a win 3-1 over Düsseldorf.
Yeah, so Kaiserslautern. That was a big one. That was a big one for them because if Düsseldorf would have won, they would have passed them. So Kaiserslautern able to consolidate their third place. Yeah, it's a little bit more stretched out. It's no more like where like first to eighth is 3 points. So it's kind of it's getting a little late for the Nurembergs and the Düsseldorfs and the Hannovers. It's going to be tough for them to make a run. But Köln and Hamburg, that wouldn't be bad.
And for Kaiserslautern, historically, the third place team does not make it up. So even though they're only 3 points off in the third place, Kaiserslautern's going to want that second spot. Because when was the last time all 3 teams got up? It's been a little while, I think.
It's been a while. And they're not that far behind. It's entirely possible. Schalke got a big point. They were down 3-1 at Fürth and got 2 late goals to get a point. They're not going to get relegated, I guess. That's the positive. That's the positive for them. Hertha with the new coach is kind of making a run. They've had a few wins in a row and beat Karlsruhe. So the Super League is still super.
I just can't believe we're possibly a couple of months away from Gerhard Struber being on the sidelines of the Bundesliga.
I know. That
sitting there coaching at Bayern in München with his cone.
It's just a head scratcher. I guess I'll file this under coaches are not that influential in that.
You just fail up at MLS. Just fail up. Peter, that means Peter Vermees might be the next coach.
Peter Vermees is going to Dortmund. Well, that we shall discuss perhaps on the other side.
The other side, little preview. We got the USA Hour coming up. This has been the Germany Hour. Check out the Bundesliga and whatnot. German national team good. Bundesliga keep going. Bundesliga 2 is lighting up. And then we got Pokal this week, Champions League next week. As the German soccer season comes to a close, we only have about a month and a half left of it all, I believe. As we get into spring,
it's getting late early.
It's getting late early. And there you go.
Ski season's is almost over.
That's right. That's how you can tell that the European season is ending. It's because the ski season is also ending.
That's right.
Oh, there you go.
That's right.
There you go.
Well, for me, anyway. Yeah, okay. We'll see you
Russell,
on the other
podcast.
side.
Tell your friends. We'll see you on the other side. Cheers.
All right. Bye.